It's an attitude, a motivation, a deep-seated spirit. It's an inner strength to keep your feet planted firmly on the ground, no matter what presses against you. It's self-confidence. It's belief. It's a way of life. It's Fezek Athletics. Shop now at www.fezekeathletics.com to get your fitness gear now. Conquer your physique.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you may be listening to this podcast. This is the Men on the Podcast, episode 18, sponsored by Fezek Athletics. I'm Javon, aka Rock, and I'm here with two of my brothers, my brethrens. I got Greg, my homeboy E. Castano. How y'all doing today, fellas?
Wonderful.
I'm doing great.
Good.
I'm doing all right, man.
Good. Well, I mean, before we get started, wanted to give some RIPs and condolences. We lost a lot of people this week, man. It was just like back to back to back. It seemed like the first one, which to me was the most shocking, Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther. Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall. I mean, the brother played in a lot of movies, a lot of impactful movies. Wakanda Forever. But that was surprising. I know. They say he passed away from stage 4 colon cancer. Which he kept that. What the thing about it is, like, they kept that so quiet, like no one knew about it. And then I know, like, on the last one of his movies I looked at, 21 Bridges, he looked a little smaller, but I thought it was just like he just did it for the role. I thought he just lost weight for the role, and come to find out, man, this whole time while he was filming these movies, because he got diagnosed in 2016. So from that time until his passing, he was filming movies in between and doing chemo. So, I mean, that one was shocking, man. That one was 43 years old. I mean, I think that's your age, ain't it, E? Like, that's only a couple years.
That's 2 years younger than me.
And that's 2 years older than me and you, Greg. Like, so that's young, bro. Young.
Well, 1 year, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years old. My bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, before we get to the other ones, or do y'all want me to just list them and then we say something afterwards?
I mean, I'm good. But like, I'll just say this, like, knowing, watching what like chemo does to somebody, and then knowing what he did, wow. All I can say is wow, because like chemo takes what's the name? I mean, those of you who don't know, I lost my father to cancer. So watching him and his body deteriorate, and then watching, like, knowing what Chadwick did, it made me have so much admiration for him, because I know what, like, watching what my dad had to go through. I can imagine what he was going through, and having the energy to film movies and make appearances and stuff like that. When you don't feel well, not sick, you probably can't eat. Like, it's all this stuff that could go on. And it's like, wow.
I'm sorry, Greg. Do me a favor. Cut that. Your TV is loud in the back. My bad, Greg. I'm sorry. Yeah, man. I mean, go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
No, it's just one of those things where I was just like, the more information I got about what happened, I was just like, man, like I always respected him as an actor, but like, just watching the stuff that he did, the words that he said, and how he appreciated others, and like all the time while he's sick, I was just like, man, like, that's a special human being, bro.
Yes,
that's it. Is a special human being, like, really.
E, you got any thoughts on Mr. Boseman?
Really a tragic loss, obviously. What can you say about his his achievements other than the fact that he was a superhero to the black community, mind you. The Black Panther was the most, I'd probably say, the most iconic role probably in his career besides Jackie Robinson. A lot of people, kids, really looked up to the role and what he did, and the hero. I guess you could say the heroism, if that's the word, that he did for lack of a better words. But I got a chance to see him before, when the actual Black Panther release came out. She had a chance to actually see him in Fashion Week in New York, and
your audio is all blurry, bro. We can barely hear you.
My bad. Can you hear me better now?
A little bit.
All right. Okay. So basically, she had a chance to see him in New York during Fashion Week, and she was telling me that even then, and this was like, I think maybe three seasons ago, which was maybe was that 2.5 years ago, I want to say. She saw him in New York, and she was telling me that even then he wasn't at like his best then. So I didn't know that he was even battling cancer, colon cancer then. So
his camp kept that a secret, man.
Right. So there was pictures.
Them for that.
Yep.
There was pictures. There was pictures that were out there of him that were really, really skinny, almost like the picture that we saw of 50 Cent, where he was like super.
I thought it was a role too. Yeah, I thought he was getting ready for a role. Right.
Yeah. So me, along with everybody else, thought that maybe he was getting ready for a role, and little did we know that he had cancer. Again, tragic. I really wish that people take this as a notification that men over the age of 40 or 45 need to understand that colon cancer is for real. You need to get tested. You don't need to be some macho dude that, don't feel like that it's something that you shouldn't do because of whatever the procedures are.
Yep.
We all know what you need to do to get colon cancer.
Go get them physicals every year, man. On a yearly basis. Get them every year.
I mean, this ain't got nothing to do with the whole procedure of it. It is what it is. You know what you got to do, and it's only for your well-being.
Yep.
And it's only to protect yourself from getting any cancer. So man up, do what you got to do, and let's just hope for that. Hopefully, this will be a lesson to all of men in America to make sure that you get tested. And sorry that it happened. It couldn't. I wish it didn't happen to him, but unfortunately it did. And God bless him, and God bless his soul.
Yeah. Rest in heaven. Rest in paradise, Chadwick. Also, rest in peace to Mr. McCray as well, Greg.
Appreciate that,
man. We also lost John Thompson.
Yeah,
that's another big one.
That's a big one, man. I mean that.
JT was a good guy, man.
Think of all the people, everyone knows famously AI and the story that what happened to him in high school, and he was a #1 recruit in football and basketball his junior year going to his senior year. Then he got into the bowling alley fight, and then basically went to jail, and all the schools just, all scholarships was gone. His mom drove up to Georgetown, pleaded with John Thompson, and he gave him a chance. We know that story. He coached other greats like Patrick Ewing, Dikembe Mutombo, Alonzo Mourning. I think they say he was like the first African American coach to win an NCAA title. I believe that's what they say. Big loss, man. Big loss, not just to the basketball community, but just humanity. Because he really helped a lot of African Americans.
But he also did. Listening to some of the people tell the tales of stuff that he did. He also just held people to a standard, man. When AI played, there was a story about how some of the signs at one of the schools was just inappropriate.
Yep.
And he told them, we're not taking to court until you take those signs down. This is
Powerful.
This isn't like, you know what I mean? Like, think about that now, about some of the stuff that you see on shows and stuff. They don't tell these kids or adults to take these signs down. They say whatever. And he told the school administrator, yo, we will leave if you do not get this under control.
Yeah.
And like, when I heard that story, I was just like, wow, if there was more coaches like that like every coach was
human beings, not just coaches, just humans, man. The world be better.
Because like nobody like to sit there and look at the person before you look at the athlete is what I think everybody wants. And to know that, hey, yo, that sign's going to have a negative effect on this person, and he's important enough to me to just say, hey, we're going to kibosh this whole thing. This game isn't bigger than that person's life. Like, you know what I mean? So,
powerful.
Like,
powerful.
Yeah. He also Proposition, was it Proposition 48? Or like he stood up against that, called it out for what it was, and like he was a man of character, man. He was a man, man of character, man.
R.P. to John Thompson, Clifford Robinson of the Portland Trail Blazers, Uncle Cliff. Rest in peace, and then Lou Olson. The basketball coach for Arizona. It was just. I mean, 2020, man. We talked about it last week. 2020 is a year that everyone should remember, man. Like the beginning of the year, losing Kobe, and his daughter, and and the others on the plane, and then you got COVID, then you got like it's just like wow, man. Wow.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
I think Frank put something on a group chat that like a rough 2020 for something greater in the future. So hopefully, the year to come will be greater. A lot better than this. So, well, let's get into some topics, man. We wanted to touch on this last week, but we kind of ran over. Discussing, of course, rightfully so, the Jacob Blake situation. I believe he's still paralyzed from the waist down. The cop is on administrative leave. We all know what that means. You paid to stay home while they try to find a way to get you off. But that's the update on that. But one thing, that did is the playoffs had started, NBA playoffs, of course. But the players on that day, the Milwaukee Bucks, which was ironic being that it was in Wisconsin, started the trend where they just said they wasn't taking the court. And the NBA, they locked down for, a couple of days. Like, to me, that was, I know people saying, well, what's the plan? Well, they did that, but what's the plan? To me, but that showed the plan. They showed that they came together, united, and they wanted to do something to show, like, look, man, we stand for this. Like, this is just wrong. Like, something's got to give. What's y'all thoughts on that, man?
I think, like, I like the fact that they stood up, but I also understand the fact when people go, what's your plan? Because if you're going to stop, you kind of want to have your bullet points. So it's like hitting a speech, you know what I mean? Make sure you get and it's almost like you're negotiating because you're stopping for a reason. So for you to go back, you kind of want to be like, hey, I want to get this, and this. Now, it's been reported that they were on the phone with the Attorney General for, I'm assuming for the state of Milwaukee.
Wisconsin.
I mean, the state of Wisconsin, excuse me, I'm sorry. For Wisconsin, they were talking to some officials around for Wisconsin. So now, will that lead to change? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where I understand it. I'm happy they did it because they actually brought more attention to it. They actually got other sports to do it. And if you on social media, like, you found like a whole bunch of people sitting there saying, I'm not watching this no more. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not watching NBA. I'm not watching Major League Baseball. I'm not watching NHL. Like, so it was kind of crazy to find out how many people were going to react that negatively because other sports found something unjust. But it's just.
Those are the people that don't want change. They wanted to stay the way it is.
But I'm just glad that they're just bringing awareness to it, and as far as trying to just, hey, I'm gonna just interrupt your night of watching me play basketball to just show you that something crazy is going on, and I respect that because it takes courage to do that, and you don't know what the ramifications are of it. Because had they stopped and not went back, like they were prepared to do, some were prepared to do. Like the Lakers and the Clippers voted to, hey, nah, let's just nix the season.
Yeah, we need to nix the season. Let's do it. Like, whatever
so
it takes.
So that right there tells you if they're willing to walk away from like $1 billion on the table for playoff TV money, it tells you how serious they are about it. So that's where I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, yeah, it was real. I think for a moment I was like, man, are they going to go back?
It was up in the air.
That's what I mean.
I mean, there was some serious talks going on between the owners and the Players Association and the players that was in the bubble and stuff like that, and the representatives for those who wasn't in the bubble was on the phone.
And I think one other thing that came out of it was the owners actually did some stuff that they said they were going to do. All of a sudden now, Wells Fargo is being used as a polling place in Philadelphia.
but the cool thing about that, I mean to cut you off, was who started that though? Who was the first owner to say we're opening up our arena and it's going to be a voting, a polling station? Did you know? Mark Cuban.
Was it? Okay.
Mark Cuban.
Okay.
Mark Cuban is like, for those, Mark Cuban's the Dallas Mavericks owner. Like he is 100% like trying to, like, he's supporting like anything. Like he goes against the grain, man. Like, I mean, we know the owners of these leagues are good old boys, a club or whatever. But one thing about the NBA owners, man, they seem to all be in support of the movement.
Yeah, but like if you only see, that's the thing, and I think that's why some of the players were okay with like walking out, because if you only had one owner say it, you know what I'm saying, or do it. Now the thing that I don't know if you read or not. So after the Wells Fargo is being used as a polling place, now Lincoln Financial Field, hey, we're using that as a polling place too. So it's just like, oh, okay, like
chain effect, yeah.
Yeah. So when the players step out, all of a sudden it's like hey, we're not going back until y'all do what y'all said y'all were going to do. And I think that was kind of what was put on the table. You guys said you were going to do X, Y, and Z. You haven't done X, Y, and Z.
It's time for action now. Yep.
Yeah, like so, like if you want us to go back and play and put money in the coffers, let us see, and because like the owners have access to the legislators, the lawmakers, and as much as
part of them 1%ers, man. Yeah, like come on, man. They contribute to these campaigns. You right? Yes, they're good. So billionaires.
So it's one of those things where like that one of the owners can get you in touch with the attorney general. You know what I'm saying? Like
direct number
with the congressman, with the legislative, state legislative. Like you know what I mean? Like you can get. They got the channels to get you wherever you need. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad they just exercising their power to just
Yeah, me too.
Help people.
What's your thoughts, brother, on the lockout or the NBA players locking out for a few days?
Real quick, Anobi just hit the game winner, 104-103 to find that Toronto wins this. It's 3 games to 1. You had to watch it to see what I was to pay attention. The shot was like
who hit the shot?
Like, wow. Anobi.
Oh, okay. So Toronto won a game, so it's 2-1. Okay, cool.
It's 2-1. Yeah, 2-1. As far as the NBA lockout for the time it was, I would have not been mad if they locked out the whole season. I thought that was going to. I thought it was going to happen. Me and Greg had that conversation off the air, and we we've all thought that the season was going to be over. However, but they had to play the game. I also understand that it took a lot just to make this season even happen. So to be able to have this season and to be able to play it and have a basketball season and also be able to cater to the players that aren't the superstars, also because you got to understand this is a domino effect. Yes, when you walk off and you don't play basketball, yeah, the ones that are the all-stars and get paid the big bucks, okay, that's cool. But what about the ones that aren't getting paid the big money? Like the guys that are the 12th man on the bench. What about them? So it's understandable when, you don't want to play the season and you don't want to do this and you want to stand for what you believe in and what the injustices are. And I understand that. But I also understood that you have to understand that some people, if they don't get money, they don't live, and they don't, but do you have to, somebody, I think who was it that said something, I think it was somebody on the Boston Celtics that said that, if we all walk out from the season, is everybody prepared to do the same thing and stand up for what we all believe in? Basically meaning like, okay, if we don't play basketball, you don't go home and just sit on your behind parts and just, not play basketball. What are you going to do after that when you get home? Are you going to be marching in the streets? Are you going to be protesting? Are you going to be going to the White House and writing letters? And it's what you're going to do after you get done with the season. And that was a big question that a lot of people asked to the players and to the owners and so on and so forth. Now I don't know if that was something that they decided, and that's what it was the deciding factor to continue the season. But once again, that was a good question to see how far are you willing to go? What are you prepared to do? It's just not so much, okay, well, we're going to stop playing basketball and that's going to be the end of it. What are you prepared to do? What is going to be what are you going to do to make the change stick? Because it's not just not playing basketball and that's it. You got to do more than just stop playing basketball. Yeah, when you stop playing basketball, that's one thing, and people are like watching, they go, okay, well, the NBA is not playing. So it's a domino effect, right? You had Major League Baseball almost stopped playing.
You even had hockey.
You had hockey. All these, but when one thing starts, everybody kind of falls into suit. So that's why the question was raised: what are you going to do after that? How are you going to show? What are you going to make? How are you going to make a difference this time around versus any other time? So. Although I am glad that the season is happening and I'm glad that we're seeing basketball, I was kind of like hoping to see like, all right, what really would have made, what could have happened? What would have been different this time around? And what changes would have happened if they didn't have a season? And what were they prepared to really do? And like, how far were you willing to make the change? Because I know LeBron James was all about it. He can talk a good game and say he wants to make a change and he wants to do all these stuff, but really, what were you going to do? Chris Paul, what were you going to do? Kevin Durant, all these other main players, you guys.
But see, with them though, like it's easy because they have such a big following, so they can get on their Instagrams and do that. But my thing is with them being all together in that bubble, like I believe they could do more concentrated there because now we're all here. We can stand together and like they did.
This is what I'm saying, and this is why I agree. Like if you would have stopped the season, then and we guys collectively would have gotten together, I feel like that would have made. What's the lady I saw in one of these videos in these movies? She says, "If you put your hands together, you can make a mighty fist."
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So. It's the same concept,
yep.
And if they would have put their hands together, they would have been a mighty fist, and it could have been.
But I think that's what they're doing in the bubble, though. I think they're able to do that there. Like I think when you have Chris Paul, who's the president of the Players Union, you have LeBron, who's the face of sports.
I'm by no means am I sitting here bashing the what they're doing. I'm just saying, I just feel I like to look at the what if factor, like what if you would have done it a different way and what if it could have been. But by what they're doing right now, these guys, look, man, let's face it, these guys are multi-millionaires. And they have different ways and different platforms that they can use to be heard. And I'm sure that they're going to do what they're going to do the best that they can, and how they're going to use their voices to be heard. And collectively, they'll get the job done. And I'm just giving you an opinion based upon what I would have liked to see. But I'm one person out of millions and millions of people here in the United States, and even the world.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, I mean, it was like I say, them coming together and stopping something, because that affected. It not only affected their pockets, it affected the owners' pockets. It affected the TV stations, because they had stuff lined up for that night, and it's like, oh, we have nothing to show. Now we got to show Fast and the Furious movies and stuff. Like it just, they were scrambling to try to, and then also shout out to Kenny Smith too. I don't know if we mentioned that. Walking off the set, man. He was like, I'm standing with my brothers, man. Like, I don't even feel, I shouldn't even be here right now. I don't even feel like being here. So shout out to Kenny Smith, man. I think that was dope. I think that was real dope. I mean, I'm trying not to keep it sad or down or whatever. I don't think the NBA lockout was too down, but this next topic we wanted to talk about last week, man, but I think everybody's already like, the 17-year-old from Illinois who went and shot the two protesters in Kenosha, Kyle Rittenhouse or whatever his name is, fuck's sakes. But the police commissioner, hold on, let me get his name so I say this asshole's name correct. Daniel McInnes. Am I saying that right, Greg? McInnes?
I'd have to see it.
Whatever. MISKINNIS. Miss whatever. McInnes, something like that. But did you guys hear what he said? That like, well, if
nobody was out past curfew, they
would have got shot. First of all, hold on, let's rewind that one. Let's go back a little further. If there's underage 17-year-old who is not legal enough to carry, or they're older firearm, crossing state lines with a firearm, like let's start there. Like a curfew. But the question is, like, that's brought up is like, do you think he, like, as he was saying, helping the situation, like, because he was saying he was preventing, I guess, riots and looters and things like that.
And to me, I think that's all right. So what we got going on at this point is you got one side that's hyping up one thing, you got another side that's hyping up another. So the one side that's hyping up the riots is getting people super gassed up. So they thinking that every time you even have a vigil or you just want to get together and like have conversations with people, it's going to turn into a looting and riot. And so these people so hypersensitive that it's just like, well, my only recourse is I'm bringing a gun. I'm gonna have guns. I have a friend that organized a peaceful march to the police station in my hometown where I went to high school. And this man grew up in that town. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, like, he grew up there. He's getting threats. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm reading the Facebook comments, and these people all gas up. Oh, we're going to have guns out. Whoa. Like, hold on. Just because in another area of the world, it turned into that. And if you actually looked at the video, you looked at the information, it wasn't the people that were there for the
peaceful protest.
Protests doing it. It was other agitators in there dressing amongst them. So this way, it
looks like it looks like it's them. The plants.
I'm gonna tear up their neighborhood. I'm gonna tear up the what's name. And I don't know. To me, it's just a part of society being lazy, and society as a whole. Like, one thing I learned in school was if me and you don't agree on something, we could still have a civil conversation. Through that civil conversation, I might better be able to understand you. You might be able to understand me a little bit better. But though we might not agree, we have a context of where we go, nah, he's not a bad person. That's just how he sees the world. And you can't, because
you can't make anyone see, you can't,
way. You know what I'm saying? All you can do is either have empathy and understand and say, hey, I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree with it, but you're not wrong for feeling that way, but whatever. And that goes across the board. But like now, man, like if to me, your resort is, because I think he was part of bringing back the young Kyle, the kid was part of a militia. So that militia came to go back up the police. Now, to me, these police are in riot gear. They got all this stuff. And it's just like, if you got all this stuff, bro, hold on, wait a second. What do you need a militia for? You know what I mean? Like, what do you need all this extra for? Especially if you're not vetting them to make sure they're at least of age to carry. You know what I'm saying?
In that state. Like, you come from a different state.
But that's when I saw that, and I was just like, man, like it's basically having gasoline next to fireworks. You're making it more combustible when people are doing this, and it's like, and I get it for the stuff that you see when it happens to a town and it gets crazy. I get it. But at the same time, it's kind of like it's agitation, and you're like something stupid is going to happen.
Which happened. Two protesters got killed.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, so, like, all you need is just somebody to like. I don't know. It's people lost their lives and they shouldn't have lost their lives.
Nonsense,
had people not been there with guns, chances are nobody would have lost their life. It's senseless, but you know.
E, what you think, man? You think that, the question is, was it hurting or helping the situation?
Definitely don't think it was helping anything. I definitely think it was hurting the situation.
Oh no?
I don't think it was helping him at all. Like I agree with exactly what Greg says, where there is, you put gasoline next to a fire, you're going to get an explosion. So, we are living in a situation where you can't, you expect things to happen. You can't, what do you expect if you have a black man or a brown man walking the streets with a semi-automatic rifle? What do you think is going to happen?
You're not even gonna make it a block.
They got videos where it's like they'll have a white kid walking with an open carry, not one cop car. It's the same friends. They friends and they did it.
And I'm not saying
the black friend did it. Cops in within like 5 minutes, like 10 cars.
And this is to prove a point to. We want to be able to break down barriers. You understand what I'm saying? I understand that we're living in a world where everything is against, and it's always this let's just call it this racial war that we're going through. The reality is it's a war, and the only way you can combat a war is to either you become part of the war, right, and you fight the war with the war, or you need to become smart at it and you try to figure out different ways to combat the war politically, or you educate to where, all right, how do we do this where we don't have to be violent and educate others around us so we don't have to keep doing this whole ordeal. Like, it's just not necessary. And it's sad to see stuff like this happening in the world. I think it's really disgraceful to see us as someone that wore the uniform, because I wore the uniform, and I had to go to to be. If
Hold on,
I
you got to
was,
clarify that. What uniform? Police uniform?
no, I wore the
military.
military. I wore the
Which
military
branch? Which branch was
uniform.
you in? Shout them
I
out.
wore the Navy. I wore the
Navy.
Navy.
Shout out to the Navy.
So I look at it like this, and this is a very good analogy that somebody told me the other day. And these guys that actually fought a war. So I didn't fight a war. But if these guys that actually were in Iraq and in Vietnam, if these guys were stuck in battle, and you look over your shoulder, and this is a white dude who was born in Podung, whatever, in this backwoods of, we'll just say for the sake of conversation, West Virginia or something like that, and you got a dude who is born in Harlem, New York. Guess what? They're fighting next to each other side by side. You ain't worried about what's going on or where they're from or whatever. They're looking at each other like, I'm going to help you, you're going to help me. And that's how it is. They ain't looking at what color each other's skin is. They ain't worried about. It's all about we're a brotherhood. And that's what they teach you. And that starts from the time they walk into basic training to the time they get into their first station to the time they get to wherever they are in life. But that's how it is. And I wish, and I know that maybe it might not be the greatest analogy, but I wish it in some way, shape, or form we could teach that in our adult livelihood, that it doesn't have to be this way. It just doesn't have to be this way.
I mean, we could teach it to our children, which is what we've done. But you got these white supremacists who teaching their kids the other way.
Matter of fact, I had a conversation with this. I'm gonna give you a quick story. I had a conversation with this man this morning. I met a guy this morning. He had a really nice car, right? Because I'm shooting model shoots with cars, right? He had a really nice Volkswagen Beetle, mellow yellow car, right? Really nice car. The guy I talked to, his name is Ron. Shout out to Ron if he's actually listening. He's from South Carolina. Real hip part of South Carolina. Yo, his accent is super, super country. Like really white old school dude, 76 years old. He was telling me that he was like, we had a conversation about everything from where I was from, where he was from. He got kids that went to school in New York, and he was up in like the Upper East Side of Manhattan. He was telling me all this stuff, and he was like, man, look, man, I don't care where you're from or where you're from. We treat each other with respect. We treat each other good. And it says it in the Bible to treat each other respectfully. That's the way it is.
Treat others as you want to be treated. Yes.
Just right. Like, it should just be why do we have to go through life constantly having to look over our shoulders and wondering if the person next to you is looking at you because of the pigmentation of your skin, of this, and it's, I really is sickening to worry about whether Greg or you or Frank or me, and have to worry about, whether the cops are going to look at us funny or we're going to be pulled over. It's just really sad. And I pray, like I said, that in the next year or our next generation of our kids, that they don't have to go through the stuff that we're going through. And I pray that God looks down and says, you know what, we don't need to go through this no more, because it's really bad. And like you said, like Frank said last week, it's either going to end in a really violent way, or it's going to end up in a way where we can actually come together and be peaceful and work and actually live in harmony in a way where, you know what, nobody has to worry about the pigmentation of the skin, and we just be happy and united. You know what I mean? And
I pray my kids are able to live like that. I pray my kids are able to. I mean, they're getting older now, but I pray one day they're able to truly be equal, treated equally. But you was trying to jump in, Greg. What would you wanted to add something?
No, I was just gonna say, like, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Jane Elliott. And was saying, like she said it, like you can deprogram everybody from how they were programmed, and it's just through education. It's if the schools taught history the way it happened, and stop separating, like, history is like this: American history, Black history is on this side, instead of it being like all one thing, because it all happened at the same time. It all happened concurrently. This led to this led to that. Like,
We get our own month. What you talking about, man? February, the shortest month of the year. Come on, man.
Look, man, like but it's real rap though. Like it should not be.
No,
it should not.
It should be one month that is dedicated. It should be throughout. I get you.
It should be like, so when a kid is learning history or social studies,
yeah,
they should be learning like, okay, like, because everybody thinks that Lincoln did it on his own. It like, you know, if you read, then you know that Fezek Dulles was in his ear about like how to, like they were talking.
Yeah,
that should be how it's done. So this way you go, oh wow, so that's how it happened.
So they work together. Oh, okay, yeah.
Because like, but they don't. It's not taught that way, and until it's taught to where so people could see what people of other ethnicities contributed to society and to the U.S., then people will go. And when I say people, I mean everybody, because a lot of people don't know it. Like there's a good few that do, and there's some that don't, and there's some that just don't give a damn. You know what I mean? But I just think that could go, as she said, if you educate everybody and you deprogram them, you can for the most part fix it in a way. But it's going to take I would assume the federal level mandating this stuff is taught.
Oh yeah.
Taught a certain way versus the shit that's going out now. Excuse my French.
Nah. I mean, I agree. I mean, we've all said that is about educating. But you know, it's not going to happen, like you said, until change comes from the top, and that's the federal government. You know, you have some states and locals governments who, you know, in their townships or whatever, they may have that implemented. Like, all right, we're going to do this, and that's probably far in between. But you know, it has to come from the top, man. You know, but when you got a president like we got out here defending what this 17-year-old kid did, and talking about sending the National Guard and turning the army against American citizens, like come on, man. Like,
yeah.
Biden and Harris for 2020. Anything is better than that, man. Castano and McCray, I don't care. Like, just get him out of there. Like, Jesus Christ. All right, well, let's end this to, you know, how we normally do with what we're watching. Anybody got any good shows? Greg, you still on Queen of the South?
I'm watching my Cash App. Watching my Cash App. That's what I'm watching right now.
Keep watching.
I'm watching my Cash App. You know, just so everybody knows. Just so everybody knows, we got somebody that's not squaring up. You know what I mean? Not squaring up. All
right. We got a little time. What is the grievance? What are you talking about, Greg? What?
I'm talking about. All right, so the Men of Honor Fantasy Basketball League has been going on for a certain amount of time, and look, 4 or 5.
How many years? How many years?
About. Well, we really going to just dive into. This is our first year.
No. This is not the first year.
This is our first year.
Hold on. This is the first year everyone agreed to. Like that year, Frank made that up. Frank was like, all right, we go. But he never collected any money or anything like that.
Let me clear this up. This is the first year under the leadership of Greg and Rod that this league did it for money. Okay? So everybody's supposed to pay
I'm just the treasurer.
So everybody paid up their money except one, Erik Castano. Now, Erik, he won the inaugural league, like, what was that, 9 years ago? And I'm assuming Frank.
The pot was over $200 that I still have yet to receive.
Again, that shit, your grievance with Frank. And Frank keeps saying he pays you too.
No, Frank did not pay me.
Frank, here it is. He said he didn't pay him.
So my thing is, we need everybody.
So I just say since I ain't get my $200, y'all can deduct the $20 out of the.
Well, then maybe that's something that has to be taught to Frank then. Like,
yeah.
So Frank, if you listen, he say you owe him $200 because he's not here tonight. He's take care of some business. He say you owe him $200, so you cash out Me the 20 because we can't pay out until we get the
Physique Athletics is sponsoring the show, so Physique Athletics can go ahead and pay Mr. McCray his $20. All right, we can go ahead and leave it at that. Leave me out of that position. I mean, I'm good.
Hey man, hey.
I'll cash that. I got no problem cash that.
Just so anybody looking to add somebody
when I get my $200,
don't add Erik Asano. He's gonna make up some stuff.
Well, I can do one or two things, Greg. I could one of you or Pete. Shout out to Pete if he's listening because I know Pete listens.
This split us 10.
Okay, so I'll split y'all 10. Yeah, I'll split y'all 10. And then when y'all want the 10,
and then when we find out what happens with the grievance, and I'll give you your 20. There you go.
Okay, I'll do that.
I'll
split the top 2 10.
Yeah. It should be the bottom.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! The top 2 got to fill it because y'all the ones that are going and press for it. Like me, I ain't gonna go press for $10. Like
I do have a question.
What?
Do y'all have a fantasy football this year? This is the fantasy football.
Check your audio, bro. Check your audio.
That's what happens when you keep your $20.
Yeah, we good. Yeah, we good. Yeah.
All right. What is the actual order of the? Thank you, Rob. Appreciate that. When is the actual order of the fantasy football league this year? Who's in what order?
I didn't check that yet.
Yeah. I ain't doing football. I ain't doing football.
Rock don't do the football. That's me. I gotta look and see. I haven't.
Y'all got a draft soon, don't it? Don't it start next week?
Yeah, we might. I think we're gonna end up doing it Labor Day.
What I want to do for the basketball one, I want to record that because that joint was funny last year when we did it at
that was funny.
That joint was funny. So we'll probably do it. Something like that.
Maybe this year.
If his wife let us come in there.
We'll put it like this. Maybe like if we all get together, you know what I mean? We'll make sure we'll have 10 people in Pennsylvania. We can do it because like apparently some people ain't paying, so there's like it'll be an extra roster spot. So we so anybody out there, if you want to get in.
I'm cool with that. It's all good.
Just email us. Just email us at Men of Honor Podcast 1@gmail.com. If you want to get fill these $20 entry fee. That's all. But real quick, y'all watching anything new? Anything good?
I'm about to watch the second season of The Boys tomorrow. When it comes.
That's on Amazon. Yeah, that's on.
Yeah. I'll be watching that.
That's basically superheroes that are bad.
Crazy. It's so crazy.
So that's The Boys on Amazon Prime. I suggest you check out season 1, binge that, and then because season 2 starts tomorrow. You?
Yep. Too busy.
Oh, too busy? You ain't watching none?
I'm too busy. Got too much work going on.
Okay. Well, what you watching now? Because you're looking at TV now. So what are you watching now?
No.
Huh?
Basketball.
Oh, okay. I guess that ain't nothing.
Basketball.
I heard you, bro. You need to check your audio for the next week. Am I watching anything different? Nah, I'm still on Lost.
I'm watching the back of my eyelids and about.
Shit, you and me both, bro. I'm just watching Lost, but Greg, I am ready for season 2 of The Boys. I'm gonna watch that this weekend, 3-day weekend. For a lot of people because of Labor Day on Monday. So
I got the reverse 3-day weekend.
What you mean?
I got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I took Tuesday off. I'm like,
there you go.
That's a bad day from where I work.
That'd be crazy. I know because Monday's a holiday, so they gonna have that dump come in on Tuesday.
I'm gonna be sitting at home relaxing.
Okay. All right. Well, that's another good episode. I'd like to thank everybody who's listens on Spotify, wherever, Google Play. Even though they say they're taking Google Play Music away, Apple Podcasts, or you're watching on YouTube. Yeah. I guess it ain't doing well. I'd like to thank all you for listening, watching. Huh? We say?
Money.
Yeah, money. They not. Apple's killing them. Yeah. Apple's killing them. So Ain't making no money, gotta let it go. But all right, fellas, y'all have a safe, blessed week, man. It's the Men on the Podcast. Shout out to Frank, shout out to Joe. You know,
shout out to everybody.
All but not forgotten. All right, fellas.